Every child learns to do this at school, we're told. It's one of the big things that they're extremely proud of when we first had the ceremony described to us. It's the Saman dance, as you said, officially recognised by UNESCO as a cultural heritage of Indonesia.
When you just consider the width and the breadth of the 17,000 islands of Indonesia, the fact that this is something that runs right the way through the entire country is mesmeric.
Plenty of red and white, the national colours of Indonesia. And as it was Independence Day yesterday, the whole city here in Jakarta is adorned, just like the rest of the country, in the country's colours.
Fabulous outfits, 10,500 metres of fabric needed to make the wardrobe for these dancers, 30,000 metres of lace adorning the costume.
Incredible.
Not a bad start.
Time to go back in time now. This is the 18th Asian Games, but all the way back in 1962, we had the 4th Asian Games here, and remarkable images, black and white as you can see, in Jakarta. This time Indonesia is hosting 2 cities, Palembang on the island of Sumatra. Here in Jakarta, for those of you not too familiar with the vast expanse of Indonesian geography, there are 17,000 islands, and we're sitting on West Java right now.
Gatot Subroto, Gelora Bung Karno, dan untuk pertama kalinya televisi Republik Indonesia mengudara. 24 Agustus 1962, duta olahraga dari 18 negara Asia berkumpul di Jakarta.
Well, there were 18 Asian countries gathered in Jakarta back in 1962. Tonight we will have 45 joining us.
Mengucap Bismillah, saya menyatakan Asian Games keempat tahun 1962 di Jakarta terbuka.
Asian Games bukan hanya perhelatan olahraga, melainkan sebuah ajang untuk menunjukkan identitas bangsa, membangun kebanggaan, dan menciptakan sejarah untuk generasi mendatang.
Well, as we heard just then, the sound's clearer, the sport is quicker, and just like that, we've travelled by time. The 4th Asian Games become the 18th, 1962 becomes 2018, and it is time to welcome the athletes.
Para atlet yang akan berkompetisi di Asian Games ke-18 Jakarta Palembang 2018.
Now, as you mentioned, Rob, 45 nations taking part at this Asian Games, and the first to come out here to be introduced to the crowd here in Jakarta is Afghanistan. One of the first 5 founding members of the Asian Games Federation back in February 1949. They've appeared at most of the Asian Games since the inaugural ones in New Delhi back in 1951. The exceptions coming in Bangkok in 1970 and 78, Seoul in 86 and Bangkok again in 1998. They've never picked up a gold medal at the Games, but they have won silver and bronze, including at Incheon 4 years ago.
And as you'd expect, most nations showing off their traditional dress, some of it with a modern take, some of it with a more traditional look. And it's a sight to behold. Afghanistan, the first of our 45 nations. cheer for Bahrain, country from the Arabian Gulf. All of the athletes are crossing the ocean here. All the 1,500 dancers we have, they've changed into blue costumes since the dance, and they're now leading a little bit of a path through the ocean as all of the athletes travel right across the continent, right across Asia, through the Indian Ocean,
Bangladesh,
and to Indonesia's islands, just two of the 17,000 islands that make up this country.
Well, you mentioned those costume changes, Rob. I've seen them do this performance twice now, and I still haven't worked out how they do the costume changes, but anyone has any ideas, do let me know. Let's take a look at Bangladesh here. Their flag bearer, Mabia Akhtar, a weightlifter, 18 years of age, the star of the South Asian Games a couple of years ago. This nation competing in 14 sports here. Their delegation, 117 strong, making the journey across from Dhaka.
Bhutan have never won a medal of any kind at the Asian Games. They joined two other countries at these games attempting to get off the mark. The others, Maldives and Timor-Leste.
You may be interested to learn here, Rob, that I actually own Bhutanese traditional dress.
Why didn't you turn up in it tonight?
I really should have done.
Brunei Darussalam, one of the neighbouring countries of Indonesia, the island of Borneo.
4 bronze medals from their 4 previous appearances at Asian Games, and as you can see, one of the smaller delegations present here in Jakarta.
Plenty of the delegations have brought their VIPs, dignitaries, some prime ministers and presidents, and as we see, Cambodia make their way into the stadium. It's a shorter lap than usual of this stadium. A lot of the people wanted to just take down the time of the athletes' entrance in this opening ceremony, and instead of doing a whole lap of the stadium, they make their way through this ocean and take their seats away from your shot, facing what will be a stunning performance.
People's Republic of China leading, of course, the all-time medal counts in Asian Games history. They have won over 1,300 gold medals over the past 18 Asiads. They're the hosts of the next Games, of course. China, Korea and Japan has been the final order of the medal table at every game since 1998. And as you'd fully expect, one of the largest delegations taking part in the Asian Games.
At the front of their delegation, the man who's waving the flag for them is the Olympic Taekwondo champion, Zhao Shuai. Following on from China will be their near neighbours, Hong Kong, China. Nation from the South China Sea.
Won their first Asian Games gold back in 1986. They've been a pretty consistent performer at the past 5 games. Their record medal haul of 42 came at the last games in Incheon. Their top haul of gold medals, though, 4 years beforehand in Guangzhou.
Hong Kong enter the stadium then, and they look mightily happy to be here. Next up, the nation where it all started. The Asian Games in 1951, born in New Delhi. And India, with their flag bearer Neeraj Chopra, the 20-year-old javelin thrower. The man who won Commonwealth gold at the Gold Coast Games in April leads this huge nation into the stadium.
524 athletes making up their delegation, competing in 36 sports and disciplines. 277 men, 247 women, making them one of the most evenly distributed amongst the sexes here at the Asian Games.
Well, India finished 8th overall in the medal table at the Incheon Games 4 years ago. They won a total of 57 medals then, including 11 gold. They'd never finished top, surprisingly, for a nation of their size. Their best ever performance was at the first ever Games, that we mentioned a moment ago. There they finished second.
Hasn't all been plain sailing for India on the passage into the start of the Asian Games, though very disappointed with the late withdrawal of their 800-metre star, Tinsu Luka, just prior to the Games with injury.
Islamic Republic of Iran.
Now a huge moment for the Islamic Republic of Iran. Elaha Ahmadi, the 36-year-old carrying the flag there, a multiple Asian Games medalist in shooting, is the first woman to carry the national flag at the opening ceremony. That honour had been due to be taken by the Olympic Taekwondo gold medalist Kimi Alidazeh, but she suffered a serious knee injury last week. Nevertheless, Iran making history. Always a team to watch out for in the Kabaddi, Iran. Weightlifting, a big sport for them too. One of the big Asian sporting powerhouses.
And they're just getting a little bit held up by the tail end of the Indian delegation, stopping for a few extra selfies on the stage.
We've seen plenty of that as we headed into the stadium tonight. Here's Iraq. First competed at the Asian Games in 1974. They're being led in by one of the 45 elaborate costumes that you can see, and they represent the Garuda bird. That's the national symbol of Indonesia, something that we will see quite a lot more of, and I think hear of in song as well later in this ceremony.
Yeah, we'll definitely hear of it in song. Very recently, one of the biggest statues in Asia ever completed, one of the biggest statues in the world, in fact, over on the island of Bali, one of the islands, of course, that make up Indonesia, which is Vishnu sitting abreast Garuda. Garuda, a very important symbol here in Indonesia.
On to Japan, hosts of the next Olympic Games in Tokyo in 2 years' time. They topped the medal table at the first 7 Asian Games. They were the dominant early nation in Asian Games history. The man waving the flag there is the softball pitcher Yukiko Ueno.
Emerging there with flags both of their own nation and of the nation that they're competing in here, Indonesia. And this is a huge game for Japan. As Rob's already mentioned there, 2 years to go until they host the Olympic Games. Many of their aspiring stars will be really looking to hit the headlines over the next fortnight here in both Jakarta and Palembang.
Well, 762 athletes, 334 officials. 200 medals won at the last Asiad for 3rd place. And it's, as ever at these major games, a huge moment for those athletes who can march in the stadium, but we'll save a thought for those who have to compete tomorrow and are back in the barracks at the Athletes' Village watching this on the telly.
What a backdrop it is as well for them to emerge onto this stage of that magnificent set that took over 3 months to construct here, as Jordan make their way out now through this parting of the waves in the ocean.
A very long journey for Jordan, one of the longest out of all of the nations, coming from all the way on the Mediterranean in the Middle East and heading down here to where the Indian Ocean meets the Pacific.
First games back in 1986 since they've started competing. 33 medals won by the nation of Jordan, 3 of them gold and 15 apiece of silver and bronze.
Kazakhstan.
Another big delegation coming up next. Kazakhstan, the Central Asian nation, former Soviet Republic, hosted the Asian Winter Games back in 2011. Their flag bearer you just caught sight of there, the 21-year-old middleweight boxer Abilkhan Amankul, a silver medalist at last year's World Boxing Championships. Talking of boxing, 10 medals were won by Kazakhstan at the last Asian Games.
And they are traditionally strong, of course, in both boxing and judo. Kazakh judokas winning 6 medals in Incheon. Gold, 2 silvers, 3 bronze. Yeldon Smetov, who won judo silver at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games.
Korea.
The under-60 country will be looking to win his 2nd consecutive Asian Games, John.
Now this is a moment, a very special moment indeed. Korea unified at the Asian Games. They will of course compete as separate nations in many sports, Republic of Korea and Democratic People's Republic of Korea. But tonight the whole peninsula marches as one. Something we saw of course at the Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games. Forget sport for a minute. For many people, this is a hairs on the back of the neck moment. Something we saw walking into the stadium. There are lots of people with these white t-shirts on, and as you can see there, both representatives on the left from the South, Republic of Korea, the North on the right, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, holding hands and marching together. Now this is something we thought we might not see a few years ago, or even just a few days ago. There's Sheikh Al Fahad waving on as Kuwait are welcome back into the National Olympic Committee fold. NOC was banned until a few days ago for, it was termed political interference. They are back, and they were due to compete under an independent banner, much as we saw Russia doing at the Olympic Games. But Kuwait marching under their own flag.
Kyrgyzstan, the next nation to make their way across the stage here. First games came in 1994 in Hiroshima. The most successful game, though, 2002 in Busan. The Republic of Korea, they had a return of 1 gold, 5 silvers and 6 bronze medals on that occasion. Just 4 years ago, 2 silvers and 4 bronze. They'll be looking to add to their gold tally here in Jakarta on Palembang.
Laos.
Here's Lau. Jakarta in the background. Almost 6,000 athletes marching tonight. Approaching the halfway stage of the athletes' parade. Still have some mightily big nations in Asian sport to meet. And the next are already entering the stadium.
Lebanon.
Lebanon next. Again, another country from the Mediterranean. Not one of the larger delegations, but they're here from the Middle East and looking for glory.
Macau, China.
Big cheer for Macau, China. Bilingual city-state where Portuguese is spoken alongside Cantonese. Neighbours, of course, of a nation that we've already seen, Hong Kong, from across the bay.
And applauded as well, as we just saw there, by our representatives from the People's Republic of China as well.
Malaysia.
Malaysia, the next nation to make their way out here to be introduced to the crowd, and they've already been making headlines, of course, with that remarkable victory that they enjoyed in the football just 24 hours ago up against Korea Republic. Flag bearer, Kilasalni Jeffrey Krishnan, who competes in karate, won the women's under 61 kilo gold medal 4 years ago in Incheon. Going to be competing in the under 55 kilo category here in Jakarta.
Maldives.
The Maldives, as one nation of islands travels to another. Quite a few more down in Indonesia, however. 17,000 islands. And when we meet the Indonesian athletes and we learn more about their country with some spectacular performances later on, we'll really start to get a sense of the huge diversity down here. For now, though, Maldives make their way. They're going to be followed by Mongolia. It's funny, we saw Malaysia there. You know, there's 70 years of an age difference between their youngest competitor and their oldest. They have a skateboarder, Ian Nuriman Amri, who's 11 years of age, whereas 81-year-old Lee Hung Fong will compete in bridge. Now then, wasn't expecting that.
Traditional Mongolian dress, Rob. They make them hard on the set.
You might have some Bhutanese dress at home, but certainly don't think I'm going to possess any Mongolian stuff.
I can definitely get hold of it for you.
Mongolia nation to watch out for in the weightlifting. Wrestling as well. The next Garuda bird bears the name of Myanmar. As always, can't wait for the Sepak Takraw. Other sports from that region. Thailand, obviously very strong normally as well. Myanmar, one of the teams to beat there. Of course, the Asian Games has now become the biggest sporting event in the world in terms of number of sports and athletes that turn up. And we do get to see these sports that aren't yet considered Olympic sports, such as Sepak Takraw and the sports where there's a real regional stronghold for certain nations.
I have to say that I feel that the world of sport is poorer for it, because Sepak, one of the most spectacular sports that you will get to see in the coming fortnight. Nepalese delegation are next to make their way out, and the mountainous landlocked country, of course, heading across the Indian Ocean into what can only be described as another world. A unique flag possessed by the Nepalese. They travel from a land of mountains, of the tallest peak in the world, to a land which possesses some of the tallest volcanic peaks that we have in the world.
Oman.
The Sultanate of Oman is next. They've hosted an Asiad of sorts themselves, the Asian Beach Games in 2010. And that's their hockey captain, Mahmoud Al-Hassani, part of a 74-member squad of athletes for the Games. They'll compete in 8 disciplines here: athletics, shooting, tennis, hockey, as we mentioned, beach volleyball, which is a legacy event for them from the Beach Games, weightlifting, sailing and swimming. And to our next nation, we'll look across the Arabian Gulf.
Pakistan.
And to the other side of it. And a big delegation from Pakistan. Unfortunately for Pakistan, there's no cricket at these Asian Games. That has been dumped off the programme since Incheon 4 years ago, but look out for Pakistan in the hockey.
Hockey, of course, which will be taking place in the shadow of this stadium that we sit in right now. The hockey, one of the many sports to be played within this main complex here in Jakarta.
Palestine.
A lovely big welcome for Palestine. They have 1 bronze medal from 7 trips to the Asian Games. And that's the biggest cheer all night so far. Lovely to see.
Philippines.
Will be another roll for the Philippines as they make their way out here. And their flag bearer, Jordan Clarkson, very much a last-minute addition to the delegation. Huge international sports star, of course, playing basketball in the NBA for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The 26-year-old guard managed to get very late clearance from the US League, arriving just in time for the Philippines' second match, which came on Thursday, and there was a big article written about him in the Jakarta Post as well today. Nations of ASEAN, the Southeast Asian Games delegations, of course, will travel to Manila next year in the Philippines. The SEA Games being hosted there.
And another former host nation. It's Qatar, who hosted when its capital, Doha, welcomed Asia to the Arabian Gulf 12 years ago now, in 2006. The man carrying their flag is a squash player. It's Abdullah Al-Tamimi. And the Qatari flag waved by those in traditional Arabian dress.
Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
On to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Their green flag followed by smiley faces. Another of the nations from the Middle East.
Singapore.
Well, Singapore bringing a record number of athletes to Indonesia, 265 across 21 sports. Their flag bearer is going to be gymnast Ho Hwa Toon. Comes into view there. Their chef de mission, Mr. Lee Won-gyu, outlines that the 3 sports renowned for delivering medals at the games are sailing, bowling and swimming. In Incheon, Singapore won 5 golds, 6 silvers and 14 bronze medals. They're looking to better that tally here.
On to Sri Lanka. And the island nation, one of 7 nations to have been ever present at the Asian Games. Each one of the 18 Asian Games has seen Sri Lanka present. Next up will be Syria. Another one of those long journeys to get here all the way from the Mediterranean coast. Here they are on the southern Indian Ocean. And of course trying to bring joy to a nation that hasn't seen much of it in the last few years. Those seats are starting to fill up in front of us now, where all the athletes are congregating. And they've got quite a show to watch. We'll begin in just a few minutes' time when we see the final few delegations, and of course the last delegation will be that of Indonesia.
An anticipatory roar starting to progress here as Chinese Taipei make their way out onto the parting of the ocean. Kuo Sung-chun, one of their weightlifting stars. For the first time since 1998, it's a female athlete carrying the flag for Chinese Taipei here at the Asian Games.
Chinese Taipei have already been in action in the soccer competition. One of the 25 nations contesting men's football and one of the 11 nations turning up for the women's competition.
Tajikistan.
A lovely message there saying thank you already in Indonesian from Chinese Taipei. As we see Tajikistan, another weightlifting powerhouse, but in the wrestling and other martial arts as well. I've already had athletes in action in the handball. Well, they'll be wanting to forget the football result from yesterday. 16-0 they were beaten by the title holders, Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Thailand.
Another huge roar as Thailand make their way out to join us now. A delegation which will be expected to dominate the setback events, but also a very strong women's volleyball team as well.
Well, they've hosted the Asian Games before, most recently hosting the Asian Beach Games. Took place towards the end of 2014 in their island resort of Phuket.
Just 7 delegations remaining now.
And the next of them is given a big cheer, and that's nice to hear. Timor-Leste, about to pop onto your screens.
Timor-Leste.
Now shares a border with hosts Indonesia. It's a Portuguese-speaking nation. Translates as East Timor, Timor-Leste. A relatively new nation as well. First competed at the 2002 ASEAN.
And one of those nations yet to win a medal in Asian Games history.
No doubt about the fact that they are delighted to be here.
Not many medals won in Asian Games history by Turkmenistan, but they have at least picked up 3 golds in their time appearing in Asian Games, first appearing back in 1994. They have a total of 20 medals over the games that they've participated in ever since.
Well, they've hosted the first indoor and martial arts Asian Games the other year. It's in a martial art where we'll see the first gold of these Asian Games awarded. It takes place on Sunday, and it will be in Wushu. But a very small delegation coming from United Arab Emirates. They'll be followed by a rather larger contingent from our next nation. And of course, as we said, not every one of the athletes able to march this evening, depending on what sports they have.
Uzbekistan.
Well, Uzbekistan do have a larger delegation. They also have a very rich history in Asian Games. First appearing back in 1994. They've won 63 gold medals since 96 silver, 115 bronze. They are traditional powerhouses on the water, especially in canoeing. We're expecting to see them perform to the highest of their abilities.
Vietnam.
Vietnam up next. It'll be a bittersweet games for them. They were originally interested and supposed to be hosting. Financial difficulties meant that would change. But they're here and on the hunt for medals. They'll be one of the stronger nations in the road cycling.
Yemen.
Yemen with just 2 Asian Games medals to their name over the years. Picked up their first back in 2002 in Taekwondo in Busan. Akram Al-Noor winning on that occasion, and then Naji Al-Ashwal winning in Doha in 2006, a bronze medal in Wushu. However, 12 years without a medal in Asian Games history.
And you can tell who's next, can't you? Take a listen to that.
Indonesia.
And here come the hosts. 17,000 islands make up this nation. The badminton kings of the world. They're also going to have their richest man competing for them as well. 78-year-old Michael Bambang Hartono, who will compete in bridge. The oldest member of the host nation's delegation. That, as you'd expect, is huge, joyous and greeted with a carnival atmosphere inside this Gelora Bung Karno Stadium. I've never seen so much red and white before. They are saluted by Joko Widodo, the President of the Republic. Everybody was trying to get their hands on a little flag, a headband, a wristband, something in red and white coming in today. We've seen traditional dress. We've seen everybody with red and white t-shirts on. Red hijabs and white t-shirts as well. What an atmosphere. And we all know who they'll be cheering for the next 2 weeks. Well, they're the biggest marching delegation we've seen tonight, without doubt. Currently spanning the entire stadium length on the 130-metre-long volcano set that they're marching in front of. And the question we'll all be asking now is how many medals they're going to win. How have they prepared? Whatever happens, I think tonight, Jonathan, it's pretty clear that it's all going to be a big party.
Well, it definitely looks that way, and just look at this Indonesian delegation continuing to snake their way across the stage. As host nation, of course, competing in every sport. They made history yesterday when their women competed in water polo for the first ever time in their history and came back to win a stunning match, 9 goals to 8 against Hong Kong, China. those fortunate enough to get tickets here into the stadium for the opening ceremony are giving a rousing reception here to the host nation.
And they're followed by the mascots. And we've seen these three characters' images plastered all over town. A nation as diverse as it is large, tonight joins together as one. And now it's a rush to take the seats for the party. So while we see the mascots parading, the dignitaries honouring the athletes marching, you'll slowly start to see this ocean start to disappear now. And all of the 1,500 dancers who we had on at the start will give way to something else.
Yeah, next on the agenda, we're going to have a performance from Via Valen performing one of the official songs, Maraya Bintang, which is one of the theme songs of the games. Via Valen, an artist who began her career back at the age of 15, solo career beginning with the release of her very first single, which was entitled Selingkuh back in 2015. Most popular song, Sayang, that reached more than 100 million views on YouTube, making it the second most viewed Indonesian music video of 2017. She will be singing to us in just a few moments' time.
So the 45 nations are now on one of the 17,000 islands. Time to take their seats as the show proper is about to start. I can tell you this stadium was nigh on full at least 2 hours before the start of tonight's ceremony. And the MCs and warm-up acts doing a great job getting the singing practice going. And it seems to have worked. Deafening noise in here. Everybody's come out in very good voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, here to honor the athletes of the Jakarta Palembang Asian Games 2018. Please welcome Via Valen.
Hadirin sekalian,